Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm State Representative Mike Murphy. I represent the 99th House District that covers parts of Springfield and some of the surrounding communities. In the final hour of the lame duck session last week, Governor Pritzker attempted to rush legislation through the General Assembly that would have amounted to a tax increase estimated at anywhere from $500 million to $1.4 billion. That legislation would have decoupled Illinois income tax from a provision in the Federal CARES Act passed last spring to provide support for small businesses hit hardest by COVID-19 by allowing them to deduct additional losses in 2020. Thankfully, the legislation failed to pass during the lame duck session. However, the governor said in a press conference last week that he is planning to push the proposal again and to try to force its passage before taxes are due this year. This is on top of the governor already dealing a serious blow to struggling businesses by not implementing the Blue Collar Jobs Act at the beginning of January and the ongoing shutdown of businesses caused by his executive orders. I cannot adequately express how damaging this is going to be for our struggling small businesses, so many of which are already on the brink of collapse. For those of you who don't know my background, I ran a diner in Springfield for many years called Charlie Parker's. My wife and I poured our hearts and soul into that diner for years, just like every small business owner across the state of Illinois does. Every year, I would meet with my accountant in the summer, and again as winter approached, to review the diner's finances and make sure I set enough money aside to pay the taxes due in April the following year. Then I could start plans for the new year. If it was a good year, I was able to give raises or bonuses, hire more employees, or invest in new equipment. If it was a bad year, figure out how to reduce expenses. This is commonplace for businesses of all types. So put yourself in the shoes of small businesses in 2020, literally the worst year any of them could ever imagine. You just figured out how to stay afloat in 2020, and now at the last minute, the state of Illinois comes to strip you of your last dollar by pulling the plug on tax deduction you were counting on. These people have put their entire lives into their businesses and done everything they could to prepare for the worst. They have used nearly every penny they have had to keep the doors open and hang on to the employees who rely on them for jobs that put food on their tables. It isn't just about saving the businesses for the owners. It's about saving the businesses for the employees in the community who rely on them, not only for jobs, but for the taxes that fund our schools and all the other things our communities need. At his press conference last week, the governor said only a small number of businesses would be affected by this decoupling. Governor, there are more than 400,000 businesses that would be affected by this if they get hit with the decoupling tax increase, Charlie Parker's being one of them. Don't put more of them out of business and kill the jobs that they provide for so many because your state budget is so far out of balance.